All right.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast. So we say what we mean, and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest, Mr. Mohamed Gulamali. Mohamed here is the Vice President over at Sales Legacy Financial over in Long Island, right? Uh, He's also the author of Mortgage Basics, the guidebook, and Steps to Home Ownership is a e-learning book. What is it? E-learning?
An ebook. Well, there's an ebook and a printed version too on Amazon.
Aha, an ebook that I sent. He sent me over this, and let me tell you something. If you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking to take out a loan and you really want to learn about the process before you take out the loan, he answers a lot of your questions here in this ebook, right? So check this book out. Mo, it's good to have you on, man, for us to catch up and talk a bit. How you feeling? How's everything going?
Feeling good, man. Got over COVID. Feeling back to myself. Ready to conquer.
Yeah, you got over COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that fight like?
Oh man, I gotta tell you, it's been a long month. First, I quit smoking, went through the withdrawals of smoking for like 25 years.
Wow.
Went and got vaccinated. A
Yeah.
week later, caught COVID. It was not fun.
So you quit smoking and then you caught COVID.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
Long month.
So what'd you do? Did you have to like stay in the house and just quarantine, or were you like
Yeah, you got to stay in the house. You got to quarantine. The messed up part about it is this: I didn't know it was COVID until days later.
uh-huh.
So I thought it was a cold, and me being on, my macho move,
Yeah.
I'm still working. I'm still doing everything that I do as if it's normal. I found out it was COVID. I took the day off.
It's like the mind just went into I'm sick
Yeah, my
mode.
mind just went, you know what? Maybe it's time to rest a little bit.
Right. Now, let me ask you, were you overdoing it before you got hit with COVID? Were you like burn out 7 days on 24/7?
You know, honestly, I used to be like that years ago.
Uh-huh.
Years ago, 3, 4 days out of the week, I'd be working till 2 a.m. Going over files, going over faxes, putting systems together, just all of it. And then lately, I just don't do that as much. But because I have the systems in place, I don't really need to. I'm actually more effective now. But honestly, part of me kind of feels guilty that my work ethic isn't what it used to be,
Okay.
even though it surpasses a lot of people, just to put it.
Yeah. I will outwork you kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no, I'll
Right?
work you out.
Yeah.
No, we'll go round for round.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, well, so like, okay, you get to a point in your business where you've been in business for so long, it's kind of like you ready, like you said, you have the systems, you have the processes in place, and it's like you don't have to go as hard, but you go as hard because that's what keeps you going, right? That's what makes you
Yeah.
tick. So I'm wondering, before you got hit with COVID, like, were you like working 7 days? Were you like not getting sleep? Were you not taking care of yourself? Like, what was your work
You know, honestly,
schedule
I
like?
just discovered the value of sleep a few months ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I was that guy, oh, it's 5 a.m., be at the gym, start doing the paperwork, it's 5 a.m., work while the world is sleeping.
yeah, yeah,
Nah, get some rest. Keep your
yeah,
body good.
yeah,
Your mind's good. Get
yeah,
a little bit of rest. It helps.
yeah.
So, my phone rings, I pick it up. I have OCD when it comes to that. If it rings, I'm picking it up, except Sunday night. Sunday
Gotcha.
night, leave me alone.
Leave you
Unless
alone.
it's an emergency.
Got it.
But other than that, all moments are showtime as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Yeah. So okay, now you I guess a lot of times too when we overwork, right? And I don't want to say you overworking because the person who overworks doesn't think they're overworking, they just think they're working, right? But a
Exactly.
lot of times when we're overworking and we get that time off and we kind of like just relax and kind of like recoup or recalibrate or take that vacation, uh did you feel like you had to play and catch up? You had to play catch up when you came back from taking that little time off, or did you have people in place that were managing things for you?
Oh man, my office is amazing.
Yeah.
I was still working and I was on vacation before I actually caught COVID.
Oh wow. Okay.
And oh my God, they made my life so much easier.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, there were still files I had to catch up on and do a little bit here and there,
Right.
but I was at peace, still at peace.
Yeah.
COVID threw me off a little bit because I'm looking at documents, looking at faxes, like, oh, okay, why are those letters on paper moving?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, having the system, the team, everybody in place is just incredible.
Yeah. So like I want to kind of touch on that too, right? Because like a lot of people when they start out, they go on for like 5 years and they pretty much wear all the hats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like their first 5 years, sometimes like their first 3 years, if they finally, it depends on the learning curve, right? But with the pandemic and everything, a lot of people are wearing multiple hats, and they're managing their businesses on their own, and sometimes burnout can lead to, people getting sick, whether it's COVID or the common cold or whatever it is. How long did it take you to build your team up, right? How long did it take you to create those systems that you saw were effective, more or less?
Oh wow, it took quite a while. It took quite a long time. So the systems, everything else, I would say took probably close to 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because well, for one, unfortunately, in the mortgage world, there really aren't systems set in place, So I kind of had to create a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting the right team together, finding the right place, it took, close to 2, 3 years.
Right. And you've been at it for like 20 years, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't let
20 years, 2 decades, man.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, so you've seen a lot of changes in the industry, right?
Yes,
so like what's
absolutely.
that like? Walk me through that, right? So here you are, you probably no systems in place, you're hungry, you're determined, you're gonna make it happen no matter what, right? So a lot of trial and error, a lot of course correcting, a lot of learning along the way. I'm guessing 20 years ago there was no YouTube for you to follow anybody. There was no Instagram, you know what I mean? You literally had to figure it out. So your first 5 years, walk me through some of the challenges, discoveries, breakthroughs that you made that got you to where you were able to sustain and then grow.
Okay. So the first 5 years, I started off actually as a telemarketer.
Mm-hmm.
So basically starting off as a telemarketer, you make the calls, but you don't know what you're doing. But even worse than that, there's nobody teaching you what to do or telling you, because in all honesty, people don't really want you to grow. They want you to kind of stay in that same place, filling up their pockets.
Yeah.
So, you learn a little bit here, you learn a little bit there. And then, basically while your friends and competitors are sleeping, resting, taking vacations, you got to be out there learning.
Right.
While they're doing that, you got to be out there grinding.
Right.
While they're having fun. Yeah, you are burning out.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, man. You want to cook, you got to get that heat.
Yeah.
And then once you learn the processes, everything like that, then you start working on infrastructure, start working on the business plan.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing I learned was this. You want the success, you want the phone to ring. But then without the systems in place, you can't handle all the work coming in. And then God forbid you mess up the work, there's your name. And the name is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we call that social currency, right? The reputation and such. And there was not such a heavy focus on branding as much as there is now, right? We were talking.
Yeah, not like now. Because now, so mortgage real estate in New York, as big as New York is, everybody knows everybody.
Uh-huh.
Like all the
biggest
all the
players.
top guys know each other.
Yep.
And so it's happened where, for instance, one of my pre-approvals goes in and the person doesn't know who I am. But they ask somebody in the office. Somebody in the office is going to know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the same way 10 years ago, even though it was close, but it's going through the roof now.
Yeah.
Like you said, social currency is valuable.
Yeah.
It's invaluable.
So that reputation, right? Reputation is also like brand awareness, right? So talk to me about a little bit of brand awareness. Now you are, all right. So Mohamed Gulamali, right? And you've cut. Yeah, so I was about to go there, right? You've cut it down to Mortgage Mo. Were you Mortgage Mo like 5 years ago, 10 years ago? In the infancy stage of your business, were you Mortgage Mo, or were you Mr. Gulamali?
I was Mortgage Mo, but nobody knew it yet.
Okay.
Like you said, branding was big. So what I started doing was So I used to manage a team, so I was more the guy behind the scenes. Like
Okay.
I would work on files with realtors, they wouldn't even know who I was because
Yeah.
one of my LOs was doing the work,
Right.
and I was basically making sure things went through, fixing the issues, getting us to the closing table.
Yeah.
But I'm over there, Wizard of Oz style in the shadow,
Right.
And then the changes you mentioned years ago, the rates went up where it was a mixture of refi and purchase business,
Okay.
but dominantly refi business. But with rates going up, the refis died out. So most of my loan officers literally left the business. Some even left New York.
Wow.
So now, I'm over here with all the knowledge thinking that, all right, if you know everything, then that's it, you're good to go. But if I learned, again, social currency, you can know everything in the world, but if nobody knows you know it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. How many guys did you lose?
I think it was about 7 loan officers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were performing too.
Yeah. So how did you sustain during that period? Did you start rehiring? Did you start branding? When did you become Mortgage Mo?
So I put on my big boy pants
Okay.
and I realized a big thing that was missing in the market was information. There was the guys, offering, like paying for people's leads, paying for people's free lunches and, whatever sort of nonsense.
Yeah.
But there was no actual easy to understand information out there.
Yeah.
So I started writing articles.
Yeah.
Started getting published. Started writing books.
Yeah.
2 books so far.
Yeah.
Started doing the videos. And then it just turned into, oh, you're the mortgage guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Love it. Yeah. So then how did you, because there's like 2 sides, right? What I tell people a lot, like I do a lot of attracting your ideal client, attract your ideal client, attract your ideal client. I'll always say that to people, right? And my Dreamer Development Program is all about identifying how your ideal clients, how they buy, how they respond,
Right.
where they live, like on social media and such, like where they spend most of their time. Is it like, on YouTube? Is it on Facebook? Is it on Instagram? Where do you see them, right? And then it's like, how do you identify them? Then how do you get into like their most common reoccurring problems, right? And the same thing that approach that we'll take for clients to attract your ideal clients is also how you can attract top talent. So you lost 7 people. I'm wondering, okay, man, that's tough. I can just imagine that, you
And it
took,
was all at once too.
Yeah.
Like within the same month.
and you have no control over the external factors. Like you can't control what the market's doing. You can only control how you react to the market, right? So now for you to lose 7 people, and now no matter what, you're going to make this thing work. When did you, or how did you attract top talent? Was it through your branding? Was it through your education? Like how did you start building your team?
So my team is actually not even loan officers now. It's more the realtors that I work with that are bringing in their buyers and their prospects and us working together. There's a few LOs here and there, but honestly, I want to start building a team again, but fresh without the old habits.
Okay.
Because, even myself, I still have some of my old habits I'm trying to shed.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to start, with a fresh slate. Here's the systems, and let's move like that.
Yeah.
But really, it comes down to, your name talks for you. As far as that'll get you in the door.
Yeah.
Once you're in the door, then what? Your work has to talk for you.
Right.
You got to deliver 10 out of 10 times.
Right.
Because the moment you don't,
that people hear about that. They hear about that for some reason. They hear about it when
absolutely.
you don't
And I
deliver.
tell people the same exact thing. Like,
Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna give you a shot, but if you tell me you're gonna do this and you don't deliver,
Yeah.
delete my number. We're never gonna speak again. 'Cause
Ah.
I can't trust you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so but you're going back, right? Let's go back. Even when you lost those 7, did you never build a team again since then, or have you found a way to build a team through the realtors? Is it? Because I'm wondering, because a lot of people, it's tough. The pandemic, a lot of what we're talking about, and when I do these podcasts, I think a lot of what I talk to people like you, people like myself, you know what I mean? It's just that stick-to-itiveness. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, it's got to work. I'm gonna find a way to make it work. You stick to it, right? And then
Right.
yeah, because you know that you have made it work in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what I'm wondering with you is not everybody can see that, but a lot of people want to eat. They want to make money, right? They want to, make an impact. They want to impact change. They want to join a winning team. So I'm wondering with you, when it came to like you losing that 7, did you ever get another 7? Did you get another 5? Did you ever build a team after that?
To be honest with you, I had no interest in it
Okay.
because, again, at that point, it was more. I was working with these loan officers, but I was so busy putting out their fires
Ah, got it.
that I didn't get a chance to focus on my own work.
Right.
So
Got
I'm
it.
over there making sure that they can eat. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd make my little piece,
Yeah.
but it wasn't worth it.
Right. Okay. So,
But now that I do have the systems in place, now that the infrastructure is correct, the office that I'm working with, I vouch for them.
yeah.
I don't, I'm more at peace than I've ever been.
Yeah.
That now that all of those things are in place, it makes sense to put a team together.
Yeah.
Whereas 2-3 years ago, yeah, I was at a bank and they were offering this, and this, didn't deliver on anything. And then what am I supposed to tell the team? Oh, I'm sorry, they didn't deliver.
Right.
Ain't nobody trying to hear that,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But now that everything's in place, the systems are in place, putting a team together could make sense just because now things are more mechanical.
Yeah. Okay.
Where, for instance, this is what I always tell the agents and, the new buyers, everything, that's kind of the beauty with mortgages. There's no, the underwriter might think this. No, there's a handbook. Granted, it's hundreds of pages long, but it's in black and white.
Yeah.
Everything moves mechanically.
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit, right? Because like you said, I like that you said that because that segues into like the ebook, right? And I've been thinking about it too because I was talking to somebody right before I was talking to you, and she was like, she's selling insurance and she's a hustler, right? But she's also doing e-learning with her kids. So when I said, the ebook, I was thinking e-learning, and I was like, oh, what's going on, right? So what you were able to do is you were able to simplify a lot of the process, right?
Yeah.
So when did you discover that was necessary, number one? And number two, how have people responded to the ebook since you put it out?
Okay. So it all started, I still remember, I was speaking to a prospect that, we ended up doing the mortgage, they got the house. But when I'm speaking to them, or rather, anytime I'm speaking to any prospect, I always start with, do you want to just get into it? Or do you have questions you want me to answer first?
Uh-huh.
So usually they have a bunch of questions because, they've been holding on to these questions for a while, waiting for somebody they can speak to in English to answer them.
Yeah. So we're talking about the Stepping Stones to Home Ownership ebook, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So this lady told me, I have so many questions, but I don't even know what the questions are.
Uh-huh.
So when she said that, I was like, damn, I can relate to that because anytime I need to buy a printer or anything, I'm like, oh my God, what is all this?
Yeah.
Like it's gibberish.
You don't know what you don't know kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me put together, all the questions that, over, 20 years that always come up and just basically put it into a book. So the book is actually, there's a printed version, which, people can get on Amazon. All proceeds go to local food pantries.
Okay.
But I've also have printed versions that realtors that I work with have copies of them where, people can just go to that realtor's office and pick up a copy.
Nice.
But just so that it's available to everyone for free, there's the ebook available on solidlits.com.
Nice. Okay. So talk to me about when you discovered it was necessary. Were there more people like that? That one client who was like, didn't know the questions?
Dude, I get into a conversation similar to that at least 5 times a month.
Uh-huh.
Because again, it's one of those things where, buying a house is a milestone event.
Yeah.
There's so many questions, but people don't really know what they're getting into.
Buying a house is a milestone of debt. Is that what you just said?
No, event.
Oh, it's a milestone event. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So a lot of people want to buy the house, and they have a lot of questions, but they don't know what the questions are.
Yeah.
And they don't know where to start. And then even worse, they're getting advice from people that should not be giving any advice.
The Big Short. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like,
Right.
like not to get too specific, but I know of one lady
Yeah.
that's getting advice from her dad. Her dad's still renting. Why are you giving advice?
Oh, right. Wrong guy. Yeah. Wrong person to ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
How have people been responding to the book since you've put it out?
I feel like I got a lot of heaven points out of it. A lot of people have been thanking me for it because,
Yeah.
for one, it's available. And I kind of write the way I talk, which is just like
Straightforward.
the way I talk to you is the same way I talk to my mom.
Yeah.
Even though, with her, I'll probably get slapped across the head pretty often enough, at least.
Still your mom. Yeah.
Yeah. But, so my main thing was I wanted to put the info out there, but make it easy to digest. Like originally, the book was, I think, close to like 60, 80 pages.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, that might be a little bit too much. That's an overload right there.
Right.
And like, actually, I want to make it a little bit easier with the next, I guess, rendition of it or the next version of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to update the book and put a barcode that's going to link to a video on each topic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Just to make it, again, easier. Like, you tell me to read something, it's going to take a while till I actually read it.
Right.
But,
right.
Give me, a video or something on that I could watch.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that. So the other thing is, okay, so that's not the first one, though. The other one is the Mortgage Basics, the guidebook, right?
Yeah. Longest title in the world.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the deal. Some people actually would appreciate that because, like what you said, and the way it translated to me is that it's a milestone of debt. You said it's a milestone event, but it translated to me as a milestone because that's why people are renters and they stay renters for so long, right? Because they're like, I don't want that debt. You know what I mean?
But
and they don't really
understand.
understand.
The only thing is they get no asset out of it.
Okay, so like that's what goes into my question with this one, right? With the Mortgage Basics, the guidebook, right? Talk to me about that. So was that like was that also necessary? Was that missing from like when you first started out and you were like, man, I wish something like this existed when I started, and so you just decided to write it? Like, what was the inspiration behind
just
that?
as a loan officer, I would have appreciated it. But yeah, basically it was the same concept, except honestly, when I wrote Steps to Homeownership, I was more seasoned, I was more experienced.
Got it.
Whereas, when I wrote Mortgage Basics, the guidebook, it was more, all right, let's go get business, let's try to help people, but it was also very tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Whereas with Mortgage Basics, the guidebook, I was looking for business.
Yeah.
Where, don't get me wrong, now I want the business, but I choose what's good business.
Yeah. I think both books are necessary because you've got some people like you and I, we're more like we in the DISCA assessment, I would say that you and I were high D's and probably high I's, like more dominant character traits, communication style, more like problem solving, right? We love challenges, we're solutions oriented. People like me and you, we're going to pick up stepping stones to home ownership if we were on the buyer side, if we were the consumer, right? But then you got people who are more task oriented, more reserved, and they're more conscientious. They would like the guidebook because they want to stay within the guidelines. They want to understand the inner dynamics, and they want to know all the details. They want to know all the nuances, right? So somebody would appreciate that. I think both of them are extremely necessary, especially right now, like you said, to serve as like infrastructure to understand the basics, right? Especially if you're coming in as a lending officer, or you're coming in green, right? And you've got a good, because a lot of times it's not about the money. You'll find that a lot of people want that long term. They want to join a winning company. They want to work with someone who's got their best interest at the forefront, and they've pretty much paved the way for success. And that's what you're able to do with these two books, right? And what's crazy is that you can see the maturation in your career because you went from, taking a lot of information and then condensing it to the most necessary and impactful information, especially for home buyers. Then you went from like the printed version to like a ebook that you just sent to me on my phone, and you were like, yo, here, check this out. This is what I'm working on now. And I was like, oh, this is dope, because I was like literally flipping through it on my phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like so user friendly that I was like, oh, this is dummy proof. Like anybody can use this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you can see the maturation of your career over the 20 years, and you're not just talking. Like you can literally prove the concept of, this is what I'm doing. To me, you're like a professor at this point. You know what I mean?
The
And
mortgage professor. I like that.
yeah, bro, because like at the end of the day, it's all about education.
Yeah.
And with all these changes going on, it's like you need somebody who's on top of that. So like a lot of industries, this is where I make a lot of my money, right? It's like a lot of industries do not have continuing education. So it's like once you get licensed or you get certified, you're kind of just you're jumping from shop to shop. You know what I mean? And because there's no continued education, right? So it's like it's on the individual, especially if he's an independent contractor, to continue to stay on top of all the changes in the industry,
Yeah.
right? And that's where Bezos makes his money. That's where Google make their money. That's where all these, big tech companies make their money because they're the ones studying our patterns, our behavior, right? For them, it's continued education, it's R&D, it's research and development, which they write off. You know what I mean? So I love that you put out, both of those books. And I think a lot of people need that right now. You know what I mean? Especially right now. So I'm wondering too, okay, now the next thing I'm wondering is when you think about how far you've come, you've seen the movie The Big Short, you've seen movies like Boiler Room, we were talking about Boiler Room. How has the sales aspect,
Times.
huh?
I've watched Boiler Room so many. I used to train with that video.
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying, right? Like today that wouldn't be as well received as it was back in the day, right? So like how have you changed your approach?
I'm sorry, let's change my approaches on what?
Like on selling, right? Like is it still
Oh,
yeah, because
yeah.
now
So
people
I
have
started
Google.
off, basically in Boiler Room. Like, so I went from being a telemarketer to literally training the telemarketers, you know. But my selling style has evolved quite a bit where I don't actually try to make the sale when I talk to people. Like literally, a call will come in or I'll call, let's say like a lead up or whatever it is. And they'll be like, oh, I'm not looking to do it. I was like, all right. I don't need you to do anything until you're ready to do something. But let's just have a simple conversation.
Right,
Because at the end of the day, you're only going to buy a house if you want to buy a house. You don't want to
right,
buy a house. There's no conversation.
right,
But if you're still trying to figure out if it's right for you, again, it just comes out to, how can I inform you the best way possible? How can I answer your questions? How can I answer the questions that you don't have? How can I correct the wrong information that you received?
yeah,
And then a big part of it is, like, oh my God, how tough is it? I know so that tried to do this and they ran into this nightmare. All right, let me show you how that won't happen.
right,
Like
yeah,
I've spoken to other loan officers recently where they're telling me like, oh, it takes, a week, it takes a month just to get a commitment from the bank.
right,
I'm like, nah. Here, we both know this person. Speak to them. Ask them how many days it took me to get a commitment,
yeah,
or how many days it took me to get a commitment.
yeah,
How we closed this fast, how we did this, how we did that.
yeah,
And some of them are like, oh, all right, but like their income is this on the W-2. Why is the income different when the underwriter does it? Because underwriters calculate income differently. Look at the handbook, that's hundreds of pages long, and see how they calculate it. Everything's there.
yeah.
But it's just a thing of information.
Yeah, yeah. So you're presenting more information. I think back in the day when you had Boiler Room, like everybody was just don't take this the wrong way, right? But I think a lot of consumers were just stupid. Like
Yes.
they just didn't know. And it was kind of like you had to be wary of like the snake oil salesman, you know what I mean? You had to be and it was just like too easy, Like I'm thinking about back then I used to watch I think my favorite sales movie of all time, classic, is Glenn Ross, right?
The coffee's for winners.
Coffee's for closers. Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and my man was Ricky, right? Al Pacino's character.
Okay.
Cause he was like, yo, this dude is like your brother. He's like your uncle. He's like your wingman. I mean, he's close to you, right? Like, and Ricky was like, I think his name was Ricky, right? Al Pacino's character. And he was the most deceptive mofo on the whole show. They were all deceptive, right? They were selling like freaking land in Florida or something, right? And back then, there was not, consumers didn't have so much access to information. So it was like, you take somebody on a ride, you know what I mean? You just kind of just take them for this long ride and you just kind of like bullshit your way through the whole thing, right? And people would buy because of the way, the relationship. but it was like they manipulated the relationships. Same thing in Boiler Room, right? You took somebody who didn't really know too much about the markets, and then like Vin Diesel's character knew everything. He knew how to talk, he knew how to convince, he knew how to persuade, right? And then you win that trust, and then you just turn that trust into whatever you want it to become, right? So it was like the sales game was really deceptive back then, and it's because people didn't have access to information. They didn't find out till after the
I think
fact.
it might be a little bit more manipulative now, though.
Do you think so?
Well, so before the people were trusting, and I do absolutely agree with that, where it was more, if let's say hypothetically you're a plumber, that's your lane.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to know everything about finance.
Yeah.
And now it's everybody is a what is it? A jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, yeah.
But so everybody's a jack of all trades. So they know a little bit, but how much of what you know is wrong?
Right.
Yeah. And then they go into the conversation. I'm an egomaniac. I have a huge ego. My ego doesn't fit in the bed.
Right.
But I've learned, as I've gotten older, that I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I don't know everything.
Right.
If I'm speaking to somebody about a subject that I don't know about, sometimes it's good to sit down and learn.
Learn.
Obviously.
Yeah. Right.
But I don't know everything.
Right.
I love steak. I love skirt steak. Couldn't tell you where on the cow it is.
Right.
I just know it's fucking delicious.
Right. So that's the thing, right? It's like, all right, so okay, even if you think about Wolf of Wall Street, right, with the penny stocks and all of that, like that whole approach, back then people didn't have access to the information. So like if, today, and yeah, it's still kind of manipulative, but you have access, right? You have access to information. Like if you're into the markets, you should study like the CEO, you should study the COO, you should see where they're at, where they came from, right? People were thinking like that, right? But then you have people who are kind of like just flat out, and I'm talking about like on the consumer end because they didn't have the information, but then you have people who are like unethical, immoral, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they just like want to get in for that quick buck. You know what I mean? So it's like you can see that those approaches, they don't work as much anymore because the consumer now is more educated. You know what I mean? And they kind of like, think about like Rocket Lawyer or like Quicken Loan or like Zillow. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, if you use Rocket Lawyer, you're better off, or don't take that to court because that's not going to work against a trained attorney. You know what I mean? If you're using freaking Quicken Loan, don't take that to the closing table because you're not going to get anywhere. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you need to have the guy who's got boots on the ground. You know what I mean? For you to be able, and so when you grab that person, when you grab that borrower, right? Or you grab that client who is a lawyer, or you grab the potential buyer, they need to have access to somebody like you that can steer them in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
So let's this change though, right, that we've seen since you've been in the game 20 years in, what does it look like, say, 10 years out? Like, what do you expect to see?
I see a lot of people that have been, so there's still predators.
Predatory lending, yeah.
Just predators in general, the whole, do this side hustle, blah, blah, blah. And in my opinion, the best way to spot them is ask them a bunch of questions. If every answer they give you is exactly what you want to hear, fucking run.
Look for the door. Yeah.
Look for the guy that's, look for the person that tells that dress don't look the best on you.
Right. Yeah.
They might be telling you the truth.
Right.
And a lot of the liars, in my opinion, are going to be out within the next couple of years. It's already been happening.
Yeah.
It's been getting.
Yeah. Okay.
And I love it.
Right. More for you, right?
Yeah, more for me, and also the bad reps that accrued, or at least finally getting shedded up a little bit. Like mortgage loan officers were the bad guy. And honestly, I get it. The 2008 crash was basically mortgages. That was a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them left the business because they just put for whatever.
Yeah.
And it's still happening today. I mean, if you go into most banks, you look at the board is filled with, let's say 20 closers, which is a respectable number, but not when the floor has over 100 people. That's less than one closer per loan officer. The herd is thinning.
Yeah.
And it's just going to get thinner over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Let alone years.
Yeah.
I mean, we already see banks leaving the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
They don't want to partner. And honestly, rightfully so. I mean, there's a lot of banks, I'm talking about the big banks, that only close 30% of the loans that they approve. That's not even including all the loans that they denied that shouldn't have been denied.
Yeah. Okay. So disruptor wise, right? Like, how do you see, do you see possible disruption in the lending industry, like as far as like automation?
They're going to try, and I don't blame them for trying. But when it comes to this, for it being open, this isn't going to work. Because for one, if the client has a question, let's say, at 6, 7 o'clock, or has a question on the weekend, what are they going to do? They're going to call a computer?
Yeah, right.
Like, I just went to go get vaccinated, and everything is automated on the computer, and it is a nightmare. And then you're going to do that with mortgages that have so many variables, so many moving parts, so many nuances. It ain't going to work.
Right.
And then for some people, it'll work. But for a lot of people, it just won't. And this causes frustration.
Yeah. You will always need a physical human being to be your lender, right? Pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about cryptocurrency? Like, you see that being like, so blockchain and like digital currency and all, right? Like, do you see that somehow going to be like influencing what you do, where it'll be less
Honestly,
cash?
I don't think so. I mean, it's one of those things where, I wish I got in when it was early, but I did. And then, what am I going to do? Buy high? That doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So I don't really see that being too much of a factor. Like, I know it comes up a lot in conversations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was actually planning to learn about it until my barber started talking about it. I was like, all right, I might have missed the boat on this. I just don't see it being too big of a factor. And I was thinking about this the other day, actually. So let's take U.S. currency, for instance, right? Let's say you were able to manufacture the ink, get the paper printed out. The reason that you don't do that is because of prison.
Right.
Now, if there's a way to manufacture Bitcoin, which I don't really understand how it works, but I'm sure there is a way somebody will figure it out. If it's not governed by actual laws of a government and prison isn't a deterrent, why would I not just create a bunch of Bitcoin?
Yeah. I want to see somebody get pre-approved for a Bitcoin amount to purchase a home, and I want to see that deal close. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm sure it could happen. I mean, worst comes to worst, you could just take the Bitcoin, sell it on the open market, and show the transaction.
Yeah.
Or paper trail it.
Yeah.
As far as a bank actually saying, okay, give me your imaginary money and I'll loan you, that.
You don't see that happening.
I just can't see Chase being like, all right,
right.
Let's make a deal. I just see them being like, keep your peasant shit.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. All right. So what kind of people do you work with now? Like, is it first time home buyers? Is it people doing more refis? Like, what kind of clients are you servicing now?
So I do refis, and in all honesty, I'm not the biggest fan of refis. Just because, don't get me wrong, I like the money. The checks are nice.
Yeah.
But when you're helping a first time home buyer, you're helping them create generational wealth.
Yeah.
Basically change the trajectory of their family, their children's children.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is during the holidays, I get a picture of like, the entire family, the big old Thanksgiving turkey, or, get invited to the barbecues where, the whole family's there. I
Yeah.
love that shit.
Yeah.
It changes vibes.
Right.
I mean, think about it, again, a milestone event. And then, yeah, milestone events, they're a little bit, they take,
Yeah.
that's what makes it a milestone event. But the things that come after, they're fucking beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
think about milestone events that you had that might have even been painful.
Right.
But how much did you grow from it?
Right.
How to just beauty blooms from it, I guess.
Yeah. And you're a part of that process. Like, you're definitely a part of that process. Yeah.
I'm out there for the heaven points.
Yeah, man. It's crazy because I can remember, like, when I first started out in real estate, I was taking people out and they were like, shopping for their first time home buyers. They were transitioning from like renters to like, buying their home and showing them like 10 houses on the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to make a day out of this. We're going to stop for ice cream. We're going to stop for coffee. You know what I mean? We're going to make a day out of this. I got everything lined up. And then you line up those 10 houses and, you probably only get to show like maybe 5 out of that 10 because you have cooperating agents that are actually trying to help you out. You know what I mean? But then when they go ahead and they make that offer and that offer gets accepted and that celebration, you know what I mean? That celebration where the offer gets accepted and they got the clear, and then they go through that whole process, they get the clear to close and they make that transition, they buy the home. Yeah, man. Like, it's a beautiful thing.
It's a high.
Yeah. The next thing that comes with that though, usually, is the next kid, right? And when that next kid comes, it's kind of like now you're a part of the family. When you hear about that, yo, my wife is pregnant,
Yeah.
right? Or, you know what I mean? Then you're like, and you hear about it, and you just call to say, hey, what's up? And you hear about that, you're like, dang, I was a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how the game has changed a lot, where it's like you still want to keep those relationships even after the fact, after you've transacted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, and I can flip it a little bit better than too. Check this. Just from a business standpoint,
Uh-huh.
purely business. Forget about the heaven points, the good feelings, all that. When you help these people improve their lives and upgrade their lives, guess what? Their friends, their family, their relatives, they're glad to send you those referrals.
Yeah.
Now your name is speaking for you.
Yep.
And that just equates to more business,
Yep.
more good business at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you could, slimy guys just out to make that quick buck.
Right.
Yeah, where are they a few months later, a year later, 5 years later? Look at the guys that were doing it in the business.
Right.
Where are they?
Right. Yeah, yeah. It's tough, man. It's a tough world we live in, but at the end of the day, I think it's on the individual, So
Absolutely.
yeah. So people want to say people want to, follow more of your stuff, right? They could download the book, The Stepping Stones to Home Ownership, right? That's downloadable. I'll add a link. But then the other one, the Mortgage Guidebook, that one, is that still available or what?
Yeah, it's actually on the same website too.
Okay. Yeah.
That one's not on Amazon, but it's still available.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something that people can look for. Because the people, a lot of people, they're struggling when it comes to like educating their first time home buyers from the realtor side, right? So like if a realtor could pass that along and say, hey, look this over, right? Call Mo. He's been doing this for about 20 years. This is a soft introduction to what you do, right?
Yeah.
What are you looking for in terms of like people? Like, what do you like character traits when you can say, all right, this person could join my team. I want to work with this person.
They have to be a good person. I mean, that's beyond everything because, there's business, but there's good business.
Yeah.
There could be somebody out there that does a lot of volume, but let's say their ethics are a little bit on the iffy side.
Yeah.
I don't want to associate with them because if I associate with them, anything they do looks like I do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's understandable because you are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, yeah, okay, we're in business to make money. Cool. Do you actually love what you do? Do you like helping? As long as that's there and you're willing to do the work, I will gladly do it.
Yeah.
That's why, for instance, the real estate agents that I work with, I give them a stack of my books. So this way they can give out the information to their prospects, and their prospects can get those answers without, feeling any sort of pressure. They can go at their own pace.
Yeah.
That's really cool. You want to call me and ask me a question and tell me you're not ready? Cool, let me know when you are.
Right.
Because it really comes down to just letting people go at their own pace.
Man. Right. Yeah.
I can help as much as I want. I can nudge you a little bit, but I'm not trying to, throw you off the canyon either.
Yeah, you gotta want it. You gotta want it. You gotta want it. Yeah, I hear that, man. What's next for you, man? What's next for Mortgage Mo? Say like in the next 10 years or so.
Oh man, within 10 years, I'm planning to be somewhat retired. Where by that point, really around like 5 years from now, I plan to just have the team, have the systems in place, where I can kind of just step back a little bit and do more training with it.
More training.
Yeah, because I think I love teaching.
Yeah, that's what I hear from you. That's really what I hear from you. Like I hear you talking and you're like definitely a good person. You're definitely like really experienced, but I hear more of a like you're teaching me as you're talking, and I don't think you realize that you're doing it, but that's how you are. Yeah, that's how it comes across, like you're teaching me the game. I'm asking you the questions, but you've written 2 books. So it's kind of like you took the teacher's approach from the gate. You know what I mean?
It's just great, man. Like, when you're talking to somebody, you can see that light bulb just go,
yeah.
And then you see they're out there, putting things into action, conquering the world. You got to be a part of that.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's more 5 years from now. 10 years from now, I kind of sit back and really what I want to do is open up a community center. Teaches, job and life skills. In my opinion, that's something that the community is missing. I mean, you see the way people dress? No, like seriously, like, we both went to Newtown, right?
Newtown, right. Let's go into that.
Yeah, so like
the fatigues, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were wearing fatigues. Ain't no trees nowhere. We wearing fatigues.
That's Wu-Tang all day. So it's like Wu-Tang, Daz Effects, Lords of the Underground. Lost Boys, right? Onyx. All right. So now you're talking a different language now. So it's like that was the quote unquote swag back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like streetwear.
Man, I still remember I had the black army hat with the flap cut out so it looked like a kufi.
I would never wear those. Wear those. Nah, bro. Yeah, I was more like a fitted to the back, with my logo on it, because I used to put like stencil print on my fitteds.
Oh yeah.
I was a rapper, yeah, so I was always branded.
Man, I was rapping too. What name you used to go by?
Gemini.
Versus Styles.
Versus Styles.
Oh,
we should have battled, right? I was jumping into battles left and right. If I saw a cipher, I was jumping in it. Yeah, I'm talking everywhere, right? So it's just the way it was. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. Like, one of the things that I think is different about New York than a lot of other places is that even in the hood, you aspire towards greatness in a more professional manner. So like you can get tatted up, but a lot of New Yorkers don't do the face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it stops at the face. I still see some people do the neck, but then like the kids would never think about tatting up their faces. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, New York has changed a lot because I mean, like even if you think about it, just on some street level shit, right?
Yeah.
If you're a criminal, you don't want people knowing that you're a criminal when you're about to go do criminal shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what this whole thing is.
Well, so like that's the thing too. Is like at the end of the day, if you're gonna be a criminal, it's like, and this comes from like real gangs in New York. I don't know if you've seen that movie Gangs in New York, but like,
yeah,
people were known for their features, for their like identity marks. You know what I mean? So it's like even I don't know. Back in the day, you had a lot of MS-13. You had a lot of like Nietas and all that, and it was like
I heard that one in a long time.
Yo, yeah, right. So they were banging heavy back then when I was a kid in high school, and you kind of knew what rank they were at because of the tattoos they had.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like these were career gangsters.
Yeah,
it's like this is all they will ever do. They're in school accidentally. It's like I'm a gangster and I'm here because the court told me to go to school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm a gangster. So it's like you recognize that tier that they were banging at, by the tattoos they kept, and that's gang
Yeah,
culture.
but now all the hippies got them.
Well, yeah, we kind of like things kind of changed, right? Like so.
Like, I'm be honest. Like, you want to show me how cool you are? Show me the tattoos that you don't got. Because now everybody got them. Everybody got them everywhere.
Right.
But the point I was trying to make was this. So, being young, I was a little bit of a knucklehead,
Right.
So I noticed, well, let's even forget that. To this day, I'm normally in a suit. One main reason is I can say whatever crazy shit I want.
Yeah.
If I'm in a suit, I can get away with it.
You can get away with it. Because you earned the right, bro. Like, you earned it at this point. 20 years in, you earned it.
Yeah, but I mean, even with strangers. Like, when they see, take person A, person B.
Yeah.
Let's say, person A, person B says some crazy shit. One's wearing a suit, one's wearing, jeans and a hoodie.
Yeah. Oh,
which
yeah.
Which is going to be seen as eccentric? Which one is going to be seen as crazy?
Right.
But then also I know, trying to get out of my knucklehead frame of mind, what I stopped doing was I stopped wearing Timbs.
Yeah.
Stopped wearing jeans as much.
Yeah.
Started dressing, wearing, like the lug shoe. Then,
Yeah. Oh, lugs. You did lugs, bro?
Yeah.
You did lugs? I had like one pair of lugs and I was like, never again. I tried it and I was like, I couldn't run in those things. Like,
where were you trying to run to?
I was always running to work. Okay.
Nah, because a pair of black lugs, you could wear that with a pair of jeans and almost look professional.
Got you.
But I noticed that was a big part of it. The way you dress, the way you present yourself to the world, is important. Because it's also internal too. Like, if I'm in a car and I'm wearing a black hoodie, and somebody cuts me off, I'm gonna react differently.
You act different.
I do when I'm dressing as an adult.
Amen. Yeah. That's why. All right. So I learned that trick. I had a job at McDonald's. I must have been like 17 or something. 15 maybe. I must have been 15 or 16, something like that. I was a kid. And I remember I got this job. I was like literally, I was at Newtown, first of all. I had just finished playing ball, and I was in a tank top. I had my fitted on to the back, and I just finished playing ball. Baggy jeans, back then I think we did the Parasucos, right? I don't even remember the Parasucos. And I saw a sign on the window, now hiring. Okay. And I was with my boy, Keith. Keith was like, I was like, Keith, look, they're hiring. Me and Keith were always looking for opportunity, right? And I was like, look, they're hiring. And he was like, nah, I got to get dressed up. And I was like, what? Okay. I went and he was like, yo, I dare you to go ask for an application. And I was like, he didn't even have to dare me because I was like so hungry that I was like, it didn't matter how I looked. You know what I mean? So I went and I asked for an application, and the manager was a knockout. She was drop dead gorgeous, right? Okay. Colombian chick. Her name was Maggie. I didn't learn this till afterwards, but she was drop dead gorgeous. And I was like, dang, look at me. I look like shit. Like, she's not gonna give me an application, right? Yeah. But it's the way I asked. I said, I see your sign on the window. I see you guys are hiring. Can I have an application, please? And then she said, sure. And she gave me the application. She said, if you can fill this out right now, I'll interview you in about 30 minutes. Is that okay? And Keith and the rest of my boys, it was like 5 of us, they were waiting online to order their food. I was like, forget the food. She said 30 minutes. I'm like filling it out. You know what I mean? And then it's the way I asked. It was my delivery that got me the application. And then I had a shirt with me. Like, back then we're doing the big white tees, right? So I put the white tee on, and then I sat there, took my hat off. I had braids back then. And we sat down, and she started interviewing me. And the way I was talking, she kept asking me. It was not like, question after question after question. It was conversational. Yes. That's why I learned about conversation, a long form, presenting yourself, like how to sell yourself in a long form. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not with just the yes and the no's. And I looked like dogs. Like, you would not have hired me because of the way I looked. You know what I mean? I looked filthy. You know what I mean? Like, I just finished playing ball. And it was all about the way I was talking. So like you're saying, when you're driving and you got the hoodie on versus the suit, it's all about your delivery. And you think more how to deliver because of the way you look. You know what I mean? And I was so desperate at that time that I was like, I got to really be intentional about my delivery because I look like shit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Now, see, take that And imagine if that's something that was actually taught. Like to this day,
Yeah.
I'll have a meeting with people, and all right, you don't have to wear a suit, but be professional.
Be professional.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest, like even with the suit, I'll do the blazer, and
Yeah.
I'm wearing jeans and sneakers, or at least black shell tops, or some. Actually, I started getting custom shoes. Anyway,
Nice.
you have to be somewhat professional.
Yeah.
And I tell people this all the time, like, you show up to the meeting, and if I can't even trust you to dress professionally, I'm supposed to trust you to do the work?
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen. Nah, I'm good.
Well, it depends. All right, so all right, I blame Zuckerberg for this, bro. Like, I think
him and the other three guys that all the losers basically like, oh, but those three people.
Yeah, but it's your industry, right? Because you can get away with that in like the tech, the media, videography, like creative. You can get away with the t-shirt and the jeans because that's the industry. That's the culture of the industry.
Artistic, yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're in the business lending space, if you're like, doing more like business, then you got to be business professional. Then you got like business cash. It's kind of tricky because we're in a generation now where people don't really care anymore about that.
See, you kind of nailed it on the head. If you're doing something business, look like you're there to do business.
Yeah.
If you look like you're here to, put the gas in my car.
Right.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest. I can't even tell who's homeless outside with all the ripped jeans and tights.
Right.
I think it was like a year ago. Like I saw somebody standing in front of a restaurant. With the cup.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was coffee in there. I threw $1 in. Like me and this dude had some words, and I told him, I was like, look,
I didn't know.
Standing out here with the t-shirt in front of the restaurant looking hungry with jeans that are all ripped. I'm not supposed to know that you broke. You look broke.
I was trying to help you out. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm over here trying to do a good thing, and you mad at me. Fuck
right.
you.
Oh, that's classic. That's classic.
You want to look homeless? Dress homeless.
Right.
Like you're ready to do some business. Dress like you're ready to do some business.
That's classic. Yeah.
I honestly think just that little piece right there, that's a gem the world needs right now.
Yeah.
Among a lot of other things.
That's what's missing. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. I hear you. We're changing. Society is changing. You know what I mean? The expectations, the norms, it's all changing. A lot of those things, we're so divided now, too, that I can literally tell who's liberal, who's left-leaning. I could tell who's right and conservative by the way they dress. I can just tell.
Honest, I never really understood that too much. Just because I think I'm conservative in some ways, but I'm also liberal in some ways.
Yeah, you're a libertarian, bro.
I've never been in the gang mentality. Like, don't tell me what to do, how to think. Like,
yeah. Well,
each subject is different.
Yeah. It's funny too because like we're such a place in New York where it's so diverse, where it's kind of like we never really do stop to be put in a box because there's so much diversity. You know what I mean? And it's like there's so much cultural appreciation. Like I know I get in a cab and I'm talking to the cab driver about where he's from and I want to learn about his, you know what I mean? Like that's how New York is, right? Today you jump into Uber and like this whole gig economy, even the Uber driver is trying to engage with you in conversation about something that's, they're passionate about or is meaningful to them. So I think as long as we continue to do that, like engage with each other, to me, I don't care what you dress like, bro. Like if you're going to be respectful, you know what I mean? If you're going to be respectful, if you're going to put people's interests before your own, if you're doing business, right? If you're morally and ethically sound and I can like vibe with you, I don't really care what you wear. You know what I mean? For me, the standard is for me because I know if I put on some Timbs, I associate that with stomping somebody out.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm not putting on some Timbs, but I will put on some casual dress boots because to me, when I look down, that reminds me, okay, I got to be biz cash. You know what I mean? But I'm a switch. Like I have a switch. I put on a pair of Timbs. I can't put on a pair of Timbs and not put on a fitted. I need the fitted too. You see what I'm saying? And now my mindset has changed. And really, it's like, I can be cash, I can be business, but I'm still like thinking I might have to, that's just the way I'm wired. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, this is Tim's, stomp out. That's what I know that for. You know what I mean? And it's like, I could never run in a pair of Timbs. So it's like, you got to square up. Like, you know how we grew up, right? So it's like you had to kind of earn your stripes.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's just certain things that, whether it's like through clothes or through language that I stay away from, because for me, it's a switch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of us New Yorkers, that's how we are over a parking spot. You know what I mean? Like it's a switch, bro. Like it's a switch.
Yeah.
You know? It's like I'm good to you till you're not good to me, kind of thing.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, that's kind of my approach to everything. I seem to love everybody unless they give me a reason not to. Where it's not going to make me hate you,
Right.
but I just won't interact and engage with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised we never met at Newtown.
Yeah. Well, I was never actually in class.
There it is. Me neither. Right. Well, we should have met somewhere. Like
Yeah,
at
I was the
other-
big brown dude with the fro, like basically up to here.
Yeah. So was I though. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we could have met at the mall. We could have met on the track. We could have
Yeah.
met somewhere in a cipher because you were around.
Library.
Yeah, we could have met somewhere, right? We probably didn't know the same people, but that would have been cool to have met you back then.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Yeah. Let's play a quick game. It's called Hands
Window.
Down. Yeah, hands down the lightning round, right? I'm going to give you 3 topics. You tell me your bottom line about these 3 topics. If you don't like the topic, just go ahead and say pass, right?
Okay.
All right. So let's see. First topic. You know what? Since we were talking about that, during that era, high school days, right? Best rap group during that era. It's got to be a group though. 2 makes a group.
You gotta go Wu-Tang. Oh, you watching the verses tonight?
Oh, that's tonight, 420, right?
Yeah.
That's tonight, Red and Meth. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to catch it, but I'll definitely I'll look out for it. Cause
I'm watching that.
yeah, those
you
2,
gotta go
man.
Wu-Tang, like,
Yo,
90s.
Meth is popping up in everything.
Yo, good for him, man.
Yeah, he's popping up in everything. I was watching what is that? The Godfather of Harlem. He showed up in that one.
He's in that too?
Oh, I shouldn't have told you anything. Yeah, he just showed up, popped
Hold on,
up.
they on season 2 now?
They're on, what are you already? What are you? Yeah. Of course, they're on season 2. Yeah. I've got alerts, and it's all over social media, right?
Man, see, I've been out with COVID. I don't know what's happening.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love the first episode. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
Man,
like
Ghost be doing his thing. Remember Ghost Dog?
Ghost Star.
And Wu-Tang affiliated, but you know.
Yeah. Okay, so what? You're gonna go with what? Are you go-
You know, let's go top 3. Wu-Tang, Lost Boys, and yo, you know what? I'm gonna give it to Onyx.
Onyx? Wow, that explains the bald head.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna go into that.
What's your
Bars.
top 3?
Oh, forget it. All right, so we talking back then. You know, Wu-Tang's got to be. Wu-Tang was since junior high though.
Yeah.
Since junior high, like they raised me. Wu-Tang raised me. So it was
That's
like,
for the children.
right? So it was like Wu-Tang, and it's got to be a group, right? So I said groups. So it's Wu-Tang, definitely Lost Boys, and a Tribe Called Quest. Yeah, that's straight Queens, right?
Yeah.
Not too much Brooklyn, because Brooklyn was doing like individual artists. So yeah, like Biggie and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Brooklyn had some. Oh, Brooklyn had boot camp.
Yeah, but they faded out. That was like early 90s. They didn't make it to mid 90s. They didn't make it to like 97, 98.
Mid-90s. That's, I think, when Coco Smith and Wesson was out.
They didn't make it, bro. If you were a Coco Brothers head,
Was Skelter too.
okay, that's because you were a head from the beginning. You were a fan from the beginning. But then they started to get taken out by like that whole dance culture. So you're talking about
No, there
Mace.
is no rap change in the 90s.
It got more commercial.
You had the dudes with fatigues, Lost Boys, and then you had I'm wearing the glasses, the whole Versace movement and everything.
Yeah. It got way more commercial. So so Brooklyn wasn't really doing it like that, right? So I think we agree on like Wu-Tang and Lost Boys, but I threw a Tribe Called Quest in there because Q-Tip and my man Phife Dog bars all day.
I still remember that song with Busta Rhymes. vibes, coming out like a Dungeon Dragon.
Yeah, rah, yeah.
Like I still remember listening to that. Like what?
Fire.
Yeah.
You're not getting that today. Not so much. Okay. Second question. Since you were an Onyx head, right? Who had
I can't listen to it no more. That's the worst part.
Why not?
Puts me in the wrong frame of mind, man.
Oh man, y'all was just listening to Onyx the other day. As a matter of fact,
I'll be honest, I'm getting soft. Like I was trying to watch a mob flick the other day.
Yeah.
And then I'm over there watching, but like the energy got me feeling a little bit off. Like I'm feeling a little bit aggressive.
Why are they so aggressive?
Positive stuff,
Why are they so aggressive? It's okay.
I'm listening to Onyx, like
yeah.
You know how many fights happened just because somebody happened to listening to Onyx a moment before?
All right, so like you're 100% right. That's why I associate Tim's with stomping people out, right? But does that mean I'm going to stomp somebody out? Probably not. You know what I mean?
They might cut you off.
No, but still, like for me, I think this is a testament of the times. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, look how far we've come as a people. Look how far we've come as, as artists, right? I'm listening to like Fredro because they just dropped another album like a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm listening to Fredro's bars and I'm like, wow, this guy is like, he can like just change his flow within a 16. His flows were crazy, right? And then you listen to Sticky could like go fast and then go slow, goes fast and then go slow. But then if you listen to the context, this is what they're living. At the time, that's what they were living. For now, though, these dudes are like they're OGs, bro. Like they're not living like that anymore. They have the choice to not live like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like they've literally been to Hollywood. These dudes have been acting.
Dude, I don't know, man, because I still remember that interview Onyx had like a while ago, and it was like within the last 5 years. They were still talking crazy.
Yo, you can talk crazy, but they have kids, their parents, their fathers, their uncles. I mean, that's one side of them. You know what I mean? These are men. These are men amongst men. You know what I mean? These are like guys that you can go to.
And it's been very interesting watching them evolve.
Yeah.
And honestly, it helped me evolve myself. Styles too.
Yeah. Okay, Styles. Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to say. Is like at the end of the day, a lot of these guys, they're not gonna they're thinking more than they're reacting. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Back then, you had to react before you thought.
Yeah.
Because that's what the times called for.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Today, there's more. There's Instagram. There's there's surveillance everywhere. You got to think before you react today. Fact. And these guys got way more to lose than me and you. You know what I mean? So they're thinking about what they potentially could do. So they're gonna de-escalate before they escalate until their backs to that. And I look at these guys and I admire them because, they pretty much influenced my childhood. Like DMX recently passed away, right? So it's like, he influenced a lot of my childhood. You know what I mean? My teenage years when I was questioning and wondering and exploring and experimenting. You know what I mean? X was there. So
I remember his second album, listening to it after my pops died, listening to it like, damn, like, honestly, helps.
Yeah, right? And it was just, for me, like I said, I posted something recently and I was like, he gave words to the things that I didn't know what they meant or I didn't know what I was feeling. He had a word for it. You know what I mean? And he was able to explain these things to me. He brought me closer to my faith. You know what I mean? So it's like, we all as people, and this is why I love hip hop and I'll forever be a hip hop head, right? Is because that's one way of expressing what you don't know is going on internally. You know what I mean? And whether it's through gangster rap, whether it's through trap music, whether it's through party rap, whether it's through Watch the Throne, Jay-Z and Kanye, right? There's just so many sides of us that we don't even know are, that are available to us until we hear somebody else bring it out of us, and then it does something to our conscience. You know what I mean? Our conscious awareness. So like Sticky and Fredro, I mean, now you got Griselda, and then like Griselda's bringing that same pain that Sticky and Fredro were bringing. You know what I mean? Because it's still relevant today, right? So it's kind of like, to watch that maturation, though, to watch somebody evolve, come out of that, like Tupac used to say, the rose that grew from concrete. When you see that and you were a part of that and you saw that they survived, to me, that's inspiring. It's like, yo, Fredro and Sticky were, in movies, they evolved, they were Onyx, but now you look and you follow them on social, they have kids. Ice-T was a gang banging Cali gangster rapping. He's got a beautiful family. He's got a beautiful wife. The guy was screaming like "fuck the police," right? But yet he's on SVU, Law and Order. Like that, you see what I'm saying? So it's like that is the maturation. That's the evolution, right? Hip hop. Look at Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? Like the list goes on and on and on. And it's like that was like a part of my life. So to me, that's inspiration, bro. It's inspiring. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy too. Like I was gonna ask you too. I was like, okay, so the second question is like, who's got bars, right? If they were to do a versus, no. If they were to do a versus, like you see Meta and Ref are gonna do a versus, so like Sticky and Fredro do a versus. Who do you think got bars? More bars?
Sticky, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta go Sticky.
Yeah. It's the voice, right?
The voice, and
because he kind of talks like this.
Talks like that, like he be saying some shit.
Yeah.
Like granted, it'll be like a quick little burst, but it'll be some shit.
Yeah. I'm stuck on that one. I can't figure it because Fredro's got bars too.
Yeah, but I remember with the Sticky ones, like hitting the rewind button a little bit. Like
yeah. Well, I was taking notes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there was one I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
But I'll never remember. I got the worst memory in the world.
Yeah. Yo, forget it. Sticky's got bars for days, for sure. All right. And so the last question, let's see. So let's keep it in that era, right? Keep it in that era.
I would love watching that though.
What, the verses?
Yeah, them two at it.
It'll be crazy.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be crazy.
Or like Onyx and the Locks. Yo, that'd be fire, right?
Onyx all day.
They'd win it, but
I think Onyx all day. Well, it's not even fair.
Just pull out Jadakiss stuff too.
It's not fair. Because number one, Sonny Caesar's gone. So it would be Fredro against Fredro and Sticky against Jada and
Styles.
He'd have to do it against Styles, not Sheik. He'd have to be against Styles because they're complementary. You know what I mean? The same way Sticky and Fredro can go back and forth, so Styles and Jada go back and forth a lot. So it would have to be 2-on-2. That would be a sick battle. They would have to leave Sheik out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd watch the shit out of that.
Yeah, that would be fire. Yep. Okay, so keep it in that era, right? Best sales movie of all time.
The Goods.
The Goods. I haven't seen that one. Who's in it?
Oh man, it has that dude from Entourage.
Ari?
Yeah.
Jeremy
Piven.
Jeremy Piven.
Yeah, that is a great sales.
He's a beast in everything he's in.
It's a comedy though.
Okay. It's called The Goods?
Yeah, definitely watch it. It's a comedy. Basically, he's a used car salesman.
Okay.
He's like a hitter like a sales hitter. He'll go to different towns, start, help out, used car lots. Great.
Yeah.
But I would say that or Boiler.
Or Boiler Room?
Yeah, that or Boiler Room.
Yeah. Favorite scene in Boiler Room, real quick.
Act as if.
Got you.
Act as if. I mean, that's one, honestly, had to live by that because, starting off, ain't nobody trying to teach you nothing. Ain't nobody trying to tell you nothing.
Right.
It's just go out and, you eat what you kill, here's your phone, and then that's the end.
Yeah.
That's
the game.
You gotta act as if you know, until you do.
Yeah. I hated the ending, though. I hated the ending.
What do you mean? Everybody getting arrested?
Yeah. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, that sucked, but at the same time, you do wrong, you live that life. That's the consequence.
They should just know when to have chalked it up and say, okay, we're moving on. You know what I mean? It's like they knew. They didn't care. They just kind of and he snitched on them too, right? So it's kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, tough game, man. Yeah, well, we've evolved since then, right? Finally, Mohamed, what is your bottom line, right? That reoccurring truth for you that no matter what, Any setback you get hit with, you go back to this truth, and it propels you forward. What's your bottom line?
Do the right thing. You do the right thing, you keep your name clean. No matter what happens, you always have your name.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed, again, this is just my opinion. What you put out into the world comes back to you. So when you're putting out good things do come back.
Yeah.
You do wrong, that's, we've seen so many people disappear over the years.
Yeah. Definitely. Also a really good classic movie. Do the right thing.
I've never actually seen the movie.
What? All right. So I'm going to watch The Goods. You watch Do the Right Thing. Because that movie is classic. So many gems in there, right? Yeah. Where do people find you, Mohamed? Mortgage Mo.
You could type in my long name, Mohamed Gulamali. I'll come up. I'm on social media, on YouTube. I believe it's just basically my long name. And on Instagram, I believe it's mtg.nfo. Because it had like a minimum of 6 characters.
Got it. Okay, yeah, and then people will also be able to find that book. So, Stepping Stones to Home Ownership, right? Ebook available online. I'll drop a link, and also the guidebook, right, is also on the same website. I'll drop a link for that as well. Mohamed is going to start his team. He's going to start looking for people. Say what, in the next 6 months or so, 3 months or so?
Yeah, around 6 months.
Yeah, right. So definitely follow his content, get familiar with him, his content, right? And feel free to reach out. This guy's got 20 years in the game, and he is a professor. I'm going to call him Professor Mo, right? Mortgage Mo to you guys, Professor Mo to me, all right? This was a lot of fun. What's that?
I like the sound of that.
That's right, yeah. Because I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot. Definitely learned a lot, right? This was a lot of fun. Any last words for the people, Mo?
Man, just stay blessed and be a blessing to others. That's really it. As long as we all do that, the world is beautiful.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean, and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line.